Greetings, greetings, greetings. You are now tuned into the vault. Trust Christian, own nothing, control everything. Wanted to thank you all for tuning in live or listening to replay already. Just already excited about the conversation that we're having with our guest today, Sophia Stewart. She has authored The Terminator and the Matrix. And I mean, this is it's so awesome when you can bring on billionaires, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, she's more than that for sure. But when we talk to Sophia about the views and we talk about, the capital generated off of her idea, when we talk about ideas being money, I mean, we can start right away. But we're going to go ahead and, say that this is episode 226, Spirituality with Sophia Stewart. So, Sophia, you're here. You're with us. You're live. Share with
Yes, I
us.
am, and I'm grateful to be alive here. I live here in Vegas, Las Vegas, Nevada. COVID-19 is here present, but I spoke about it uh, 10 years before it even got here in the Matrix 4 book. I've done over 4,000 media interviews. I'm the owner and creator of the Matrix and Terminator movie franchises, the film franchises. You guys know these movies, and you've seen some of my work being whitewashed and garbage, and people trying to claim what they don't even have an idea of. It's visionary work. I'm a prodigy, and so I wrote something that's so far into the future that now it's just beginning to unfold. And but I wrote this work, the beginning of this work in 1980 while I was at USC Film School. I have a degree in journalism, a double major in law and psychology. Uh, I was writing. I'm a master writer since I was in grade school. My teacher got sick, and a college professor came and taught us writing. And I had a gift in writing, and of course, it developed even more phenomenally. And I had other famous teachers during my journey to the present. So I want to let people know that the Matrix and the Terminator is spirituality versus technology.
Ooh, so it's not man actually, it's actually spirituality.
Yes, it's spirituality versus technology. It's man versus the machine.
Okay. Oh, so it is man.
Because
Okay.
technology is the machine. Spirituality is us. We, people, the blood, the red blood versus the blue, black ink of the machines. God's children versus man's children. Man's children was created in the laboratory. So the matrix is about the um, the womb versus the penis, because the womb is what makes us the woman or the female energy, not the vagina or the penis. It is the womb that creates the woman, because her womb, her oven, her stargate, her portal brings other beings into this physical dimension called Earth. So my books, The Third Eye Matrix and Terminator End Time Revelations, brought the prophecies to the world, and that script in the book, the source work, was adapted into the popular Matrix and Terminator movies that you guys have been enjoying since 1984. October the 26th, 1984, the first Terminator comes out. And of course, March the 31st, 1999, the first Matrix movie comes out. And the third eye being the eye of God, because on earth we have two eyes. All living beings have two eyes, but it's a third eye, which is the eye of God, which is a all seeing, all knowing spiritual eye that sees everything and knows everything. And that is the universal God, vibrations, energy that governs the all. So when I say that my work is metaphysics, Metaphysics is when you bring spirituality versus technology. That's what metaphysics really are about.
Wow, and it's
So
interesting that
my
they call
work,
it metaphysics. Like it's just it sounds not like the normal traditional school science or education. Metaphysics sounds like this. Uh, it's almost like mystic or like magic. So metaphysics sounds very different than what we would even call science. I mean, you're definitely a proponent of science, right?
yes, but what metaphysics does is take the physical and join it on with the technology, which is mechanical. So when I say that God's children, which are three-dimensional beings, 3D means that God's children have the astral body, that's the shadow body of which we call spirit, blood, water, and spirit. And then the second body of God's children is the physical body, which takes anywhere from 9 months to 36 weeks to create in the womb, the oven, the stargate, the portal. And then the third body of God's children is what you call magnetism, the seed or the soul, vibrations, energy that animates that physical body. But all three comes together: blood, water, and spirit. Do you see what I'm talking about? Blood,
Oh, for sure. I think our audience really
water.
cares to hear that when you say blood, water, and spirit, because we're in the age of abortions now, where these things are being advertised to people like they're buying a pack of cookies from a convenience store. And so there are people that have subverted themselves into society and said, well, we think that this should be allowed to literally castrate the blood, the water, and the spirit. And this is something that has got into the society and it has been accepted now on many levels. And this, like you say, goes to your story. What I love about your books is the fact that they're written like a real script to a movie is. And that is what really was like, this is an easy read. I love reading I love your style of writing. Just know that anybody's name that's next to what they're saying is such a beautiful way to know who's saying what. And the way it was spaced out, it was so beautiful.
Yeah, well, because I break down to people in my books, and it's so kind of sad because let me tell you something. I have 250 million fans personally around the world, but my work has 3 to 4 billion fans globally, and yet most people do not know that those books, and that scripts that I wrote, they come from a feminine source. You see what I'm talking about? The femininity, not homosexuality, not transgender, not transsexual, none of these things. You see what I'm talking about? But the female, the feminine energy is the birthing, creating energy of the earth. The earth is like a woman, like a mother, like a womb. And in my book, if you go into my Third Eye Matrix and Terminator book, you will see the globe looking just like the pregnant woman and the hands of the men's right underneath that womb, that stomach, that womb where she birthed the babies. And the penis is the seeds. So if you cut off the penis, you're cutting off the seeds because the womb and birthing is about the continuation of life. That life is forever. There's no end to it. It goes on and on and on. Do you see what I'm talking about?
Yeah, definitely.
So it's created to kill or destroy life because most people are in ignorance. If they knew the truth, they would not even go for any abortions because that is killing or destroying life. Now, it's a certain point that life is destroyed because women have periods, and this is where they're getting ready to have a baby. Their womb gets prepared for that baby. And so a woman has this period every month, and it's called blood, water, and spirit. The reason why, because the astral body is getting ready. If a seed comes from a male, that spirit is getting ready to be birthed. And when it doesn't happen, the woman has no sex, where she's joined with the seed of a man, then she sheds that covering, that preparations for a baby every month. And so when it does happen, you can get an abortion up to 11, I think 11 weeks, because at the 12th week, a doctor will not perform an abortion because it's killing a living soul, a living being. But the first 11 weeks is nothing but blood, water, and spirit, the same thing as if you're having a period. You see,
Right.
the soul attaches to the body at the 12th week. And so that's why this argument of pro-life and, those who are against and those who are for, they have these arguments. But I wanted to bring this up because my work is validating all of this, is talking about all of this. When you get the first book, because I've written 4 books.
Right.
My first book was The Third Eye. My second book was The Mother of the Matrix, which is a tagline to identify the brands, my brand, which is the Matrix and Terminator. Now, my first work in the Matrix won 4 Oscars. Those Oscars belong to me. They belong to me because the work was stolen and it was not authorized by me.
Right.
Now, the work was already copyrighted. They got all this ignorant lies Hollywood have on the internet and got these people so confused and in ignorance and lies and trolls. Uh, Anything of ignorance and confusion and trolling does not come from God. Only the truth comes from God, not confusion, not ignorance, and not people who don't even know what's going on and making statements and leading other people down the rabbit hole, but not taking them deep down the rabbit hole, but going on about their business, taking the blue pill. Because the red and the blue pill was not just about taking these pills and seeing how deep the rabbit hole goes when you take the red pill, or see that you don't want to see the truth, that you like cipher, you rather eat mush when you know it's not a steak. You know that you'd rather live a lie than to deal and live the truth. And that's what's going on here. Called free will. You can enjoy the lie, or you can find out the truth and see how deep that truth goes. But God Himself will not even take your free will from you. And now the lies are beginning to spread even more so. Now they're trying to say Andy and Larry Wachowskis, who have never had any sex reassignments, they're pulling a Milli Vanilli and a Houdini on the people. Milli Vanilli, Milli Vanilli never did any singing; they were lip syncing.
Right.
Andy and Larry Wachowski is giving lip service.
Well, this is one
What
of
are
the
they doing?
things I definitely appreciate you bringing up, Sophia. Just for a moment, I want to highlight to the audience that, we sat around somebody the other day, and not only did they say certain things about, people not having the money to be in a trust, but they said that people don't get their work stolen in the public. And this is why we do encourage people to sign non-disclosure agreement, even though the work still can be stolen after an NDA. See, it's not that she got it stolen; she actually had it protected. So her stuff was supposed to be protected by the Library of Congress. Ladies and gentlemen, as African indigenous descent people, we have had things stolen. You have to be okay with knowing that sometimes you're going to go up against certain people that are going to steal. You have to be prepared for this. You have to prepare your families for this. Because the way that you're protected is by doing what she did. Copyrighted it. You can't depend on a lawyer. You can't depend on anybody. But you can depend on you doing it for yourself. And she did it for herself. So When her time comes, ladies and gentlemen, she's written a book like we sit in front of students. If you've ever heard of this book, Sophia, is called 1984 or something. Everybody's talking about these books that they read in public school about how these books are coming true. Well, that's what Sophia is. So we're hearing the live version of when people write books 20 years ago and they can predict the future based off of people's current thought process. Do you feel like you're in tune with the people's thought process? Is it what makes you feel like this connection? What could you share? What
Well,
makes your connection so divine?
what makes my connection divine is the fact that I'm a prodigy, a gifted seer, visionary seer. My grandmother being full-blooded Cherokee. My bloodline is Cherokee and Portuguese. My grandmother's full-blooded Cherokee, and it's on both sides of my father's side and my mom's side. My grandmother came from the Indian reservations from Missouri. She was a healer. A shaman is a healer and a seer, visionary, and that's where I got that gift from. And my grandfather was Spaniard from Portugal, Spain, the Portuguese. And he's on both sides, like I told you, my mom and my father's side. And so the Native Americans was gifted with that gift of sight, to see. And so my work is visionary work. In 1980, I knew to copyright my work. My copyrights are 81, 83, and 84. The violations against me is the government failed to protect my copyrights.
Correct.
And that's what's been you're trying to cover up and hide from the public. They threw all this stuff out there to confuse people and get people, disoriented and talking a lot of troll stuff just so they can hide the fact that they discriminated against me. That because when you call the race card discrimination, they have to pay you. And this is the violations that have been done to me is that the government is hiding the fact that they've already investigated this case, validated the theft, know who the culprits are, and their law enforcement is constantly paid by these people to look the other way. The same thing that happened with Al Capone, the very thing that happened with Bertie Madoff. Bertie Madoff was stealing millions and billions of dollars, and people were reporting it to the government, but they did nothing about it until Bertie Madoff's son was a witness and told off on him. And then he was 65 years old when it caught up with him. And now he's in prison. He got 150 years. He's never going to come out of there. Just like John Gotti died in prison with cancer. Whitey Bulger, they caught him. He went on the lam. His brother was a senator, and his best friend was a FBI director that he was paying for protection and was committing all these crimes. And then the government made his brother step down as a senator, took that power away from him and immunity, and put the friend of the director, FBI director, he had committed a crime. They put him in prison, and they were able to later on to give Whitey Bulger, but his money took him for a long time. He ran. They caught him in Santa Monica, brought him back to prison, and somebody killed him in prison. Al Capone, if y'all look at the old Untouchable stories with Elliot Ness, that Robert Stack was playing Elliot Ness, the actor. You look at the old black and white ones, and of course we had some other people to play him in the color versions of the movies. But the police commissioner would call up Al Capone and say, "Hey Al, we're going to hit up 3 of your joints tonight, 3 of your places," and not to be there because they were going to raid his places. And he was paying the police commissioner. He paid him really good. Al Capone, the gangster from Chicago. And what happened was he died of syphilis. He went into prison, and the moment he got out of prison, that syphilis had caught up with him, and he died. But the fact is that he went to jail, to prison on tax evasion because he had paid them so well, law enforcement off so well that they couldn't even get him until but they got him on a technicality because when they asked him where did he get all his money, of course he got his money from racketeering. He was doing all these criminal acts, drugs, selling drugs,
Right.
loan sharking, sex, and pandering, prostitution, just every kind of racketeering you can do in the 30s and the 40s. Uh, you know, prohibition. Selling bootleg liquor.
Oh
He was
yeah.
he was a scandalous, killing a lot of people, and paying law enforcement to keep him out of jail. And see, a lot of people, this is how come people here in America doesn't believe that I wrote The Matrix and Terminator and that I own it. And yet they see with their own eyes my copyrights. They see that I won in three courts. And one of my court cases got sabotaged and two of my court cases have been hidden. But I won in three courts. Only one of them is recognized that I won I won two default judgments. I won 150 million off a default judgment, almost a $500,000 in attorney fees in this 2014 Utah case, and I got 3.5 billion in liens. I went on the Judge Joe Brown show. About a good 500,000 people heard the show that day
Wow.
when Judge Joe Brown told them the liens were good as gold because I had three CPA witnesses to come in, three CPA witnesses to expert witnesses to validate that I was owed $4.7 billion by the thieves.
Well, this is where
And yeah, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Well, I was gonna say this is where, once again, people don't maybe sometimes in the public think that knowledge is being suppressed, or people have big enough pockets to market media, mass media, to people, and people are not into enough alternative sources. So when they even listen to you, I was thinking of Dr. Sabi and how his case was buried, how it's hard for us to surface these cases where African, people of indigenous descent have won. They've had money. They've had quality works that have been stolen from them, and it's even reported in the public. Like you can research our ancestors getting their work stolen from them, and so it's like, well, how do you get around this? What would you say that other than having a copyright, what would you truly say to that, Sophia, about how to get around it? Because what I see is in history. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was gonna say you can't get around it because the crooks, the criminals, are the ones who own the media. They own the media. It's just like in gang related with Tupac and Jim Belushi's character. They were dirty cops going around killing drug dealers and people and getting their money, and they accidentally killed an FBI agent who was undercover, and they needed to hang it on somebody. And then Tupac was like, "We are the killers," because Jim Belushi was just in denial of the fact that they were the killers. Well, these criminals, they own the media, and they are the ones that are hiding the truth from the people. So what do you do when media is crooked and the media that's owned by the crooks are not giving you the truth? What do you do about that? Because the government allows the media to be owned by crooks that is telling you what they want you to know. They're programming you like in the Matrix. They're selling you the lies in the programs. The crooks, the very ones that are suppressing you from the truth. So what do? You, the people out there, because they've been lying to you guys for a long, long time. And this is why back in the day, 30 years ago, 35 years ago, even, or 40, they did not want certain people to own the media. They made sure that media, people who were over the media, was above board. They, had, clean reputations. But after a certain period, any and everybody could buy up the media and control the media and control what gets to the people. So now the people have to rely on word of mouth coming from the multitude in order to find out a twinkling of what is going on. Because the media has been lying to you guys for years. That is the matrix coming unplugged, seeing how deep the rabbit hole really goes, finding out the truth. Look, there are no source that you can depend on. Back in the day, we could depend on 60 Minutes to give us the truth. 20 years,
Yeah,
years.
that is true.
But guess what? The lawyers the lawyers of 60 Minutes sold 60 Minutes out to the tobacco barons because certain crooks got so wealthy with billions and trillions of dollars that they even run the government now. That is the matrix. The government is being ran by the criminals, all because of the almighty dollar, which I talked about in the Third Eye Matrix and Terminator book and
So,
script.
well, let's talk about money now. So, do you believe that you can be spiritual and be broke?
You can be spiritual and be wealthy, not just broke. You can be spiritual and
Well,
wealthy.
I want you to
I
talk about
mean,
that,
before
Sophia, because it's a lot of people that are saying they're in their spiritual studies and they're not getting any money. So, I want you to talk about from your perspective as an elder and a senior to people saying, "Oh, because I'm on my spiritual path, that means I'm not supposed to be making any money."
I'm not gonna call myself a senior because I don't want people to think that I'm in my 70s or something like that.
Or
Because
you're
that's
not.
not true. No, no, I'm just being honest and stuff like that. I
Okay.
didn't do any high schools. I bypassed that. Took the New York Regents and got my diploma. Went into college and got a degree. I went to school with Marcus Allen and Ronnie Lott, those former pro football players. And I'm telling people because I am a visionary, a seer, that spirituality has nothing to do with you being rich or broke. Though rich and broke is about programming that people have programmed you at an early age, whether you were in school, whether you were at home by certain people, certain sources, they programmed you that wealth was evil and being poor was sanctity or whatever, sanctifying. But it's not true. You can be either rich or poor because of what you're doing or not doing.
Amen.
Has nothing to do with the devil, which is evil, because I'm going to call the devil, look at the word devil, it's nothing but an ebonic word for the evil. That's all a devil is. Anybody that's representing or portraying or getting you to do something evil is the devil. If anybody getting you to lie, kill, and steal, that's a devil. That's the act of a devil. And his only weapon is to deceive you. That's his greatest weapon is deception. Now I'm gonna plug you because just like what I just told you, it's God says, my people perish because of a lack of knowledge. One man over here is a trillionaire, and one man over here is a billionaire, and there's another man over here is poor and he has nothing. Now, this trillionaire knows something that the billionaire doesn't know, and the billionaire knows something that the trillionaire doesn't know, and the poor person doesn't know anything that either one of them know. They're rich because of knowledge and because they're doing things in a certain way. Now, the knowledge in a certain way could be either positive or negative. Let's look at a car battery. There's only one battery that's propelling the car. We open up the hood, there's only one battery there propelling this car. But on the battery are the charges. So they used to have the metal posts, but now they're flat. But you see the charges.
Yeah.
There's a positive charge and a negative charge. Well, those charges are telling you how energy flow. Energy flows from right to left and left to right. So if you're going forward, the energy is flowing in a positive manner. And if you're going backwards, the energy may your car may be breaking down. It may be even burning down because the energy is going in the wrong direction. Well, that's what living and death is all about. When you're living, you're going forward. When you're dying, you're going backwards. The energy is going in the wrong direction. That's what sin is. That's what truth is. Going forward, that's truth. Going backwards, that's the lie. So everything, if you listen very carefully what I'm telling you, if you use the knowledge, like the trillionaire and the billionaire got this knowledge, and they're using it positively, they are flourishing upon the earth. If they're using it negative, they're still flourishing, but they're getting it in a negative way. That means that they won't be able to keep it. It's like if I go out and I rob the bank and I steal some money, well, I'm not going to be able to keep that money because the law says I didn't earn that money. So that money is going to disappear. And I need to learn that if I keep stealing, it's going to always disappear because I won't be able to keep it because the law says I didn't earn it. So I need to learn a lesson here. The lesson is that if I keep stealing, I'm still going to be behind the eighth ball. I'm still going to have to keep stealing. The money's going to keep still disappearing until I get it. I wake up one day and say, wow, I learned to steal, but the more I steal, the more I'm broke because you're going in the wrong direction and you're disobeying the law. And the law is just, and it's an invisible law, and it's not going to change. It's going to teach you a lesson. The more you steal, the more broke you're going to be. That's all it's true because you didn't earn it. You have to earn something in order to keep it. So now take a man that's creative and he creates something. Say he create a safety pin, and everybody needs that safety pin. They go out and they buy that safety pin, and they're using it for many things, and they're grateful to that man, and they show him love by buying. And he's getting more and more wealthy. He's a millionaire now. He's a billionaire. Maybe he might be a trillionaire, but he's going in the right direction. He's taking more of that money that they're giving him, and he's inventing other things. Now he invents a car, and so they can enjoy a car. They can travel. They can get around, save time. Don't have to have a horse and buggy. In a car now, it goes faster, safer. So he's getting richer and richer, but he has this knowledge, and he's using this knowledge. And the law says if you create something to help and heal others, they say he might create a vaccine that's going to help people, or he might create something that's going to bring joy to the people, maybe a pamper for the babies. Do you see? But he's uplifting and he's giving something good. And well, I won't even use vaccines because now the vaccines, they're patenting them and they can give people poison. So I'm not going to use that as an example. I'm going to cross that one out because of what's going on now. But back in the day, when people created vaccines 50 years ago, 60 years ago, they were helping people, but not now. It's a whole nother ball game. Now people are doing things just to make money and they can't keep that money. Because when you do something for evil, you can't keep it because you didn't earn it, and you can't give something for evil out there and expect to reap from it. You get what you give in life. If you give evil, you're gonna get evil. If you live by the sword, you're gonna die by the sword. So if you kill someone, you're gonna be killed because that's you get what you give. So now let's just go on. So this knowledge, you want to have knowledge to create something to heal others, to help others. And when you do, they love you because you're uplifting the world and you're giving something that everybody can utilize and they're happy and it's changing their lives. And this is great. But the people who are going backwards, the people who are stealing, lying, killing, stealing, their lives are going in a wretched direction and they don't even realize it. They think that they can do a shortcut. Well, if I sell some drugs over here, I'm going to make a lot of money. No, you're killing a lot of people. You're disrupting a lot of lives. You're making wretchedness upon the earth. No, you cannot reap from that because you gave blood, you gave evil, you gave hate, and that's all you can get from that. You can only get what you give. You see what I'm saying?
For sure,
If you're
definitely.
giving making somebody a drug addict, if you're making somebody an alcoholic, if you're making somebody a sex slave, every wicked thing that you do to make money, you won't be able to keep that money. It'll just keep disappearing. And you think the more you do sex trafficking, the more you sell drugs, the more you sell alcohol, illegal, illegal, whatever you're doing, the more wretched your life is getting.
So it's all
And
about
you
the
won't be able to
intention. So would you say it's about the intention of what you're selling and what the not just the intention, but what you're actually selling as well. Definitely what you're selling, but the
yeah,
intention.
that's right. The intention. That's what's going on here. The intent, the intention. When you choose to do something, your act or your action is gonna beget these consequences, and you got to pay for these consequences. You either rewarded by your act or actions, or you're either suffering and paying for the act that you've caused, the problems you've caused upon the earth, the people you've harmed. But most they don't teach you this. They don't tell you this. Do you see what I'm talking
Oh
about?
yeah, for sure.
If
And
I go out there and I make a contract with the government and I'm selling the government arms, look, I'm selling arms or is guns and ammunitions to kill others. Well, your family, say you're a big arms dealer, and you made a $1 billion deal with the government, but those arms, they may be bombs, they may be ammunition, they may be guns. They've killed countries and people in those countries and devastation. Well, your family has that curse on them. No matter how wealthy you are, that is blood money. This is what the grandmothers and the mothers and people was trying to tell their kids when their kids, their sons became drug dealers and they came in the house to say they were Colombian drug dealers or whatever,
right.
Jamaican drug dealers, and they brought the money into the house and gave it to the grandmother. And some grandmothers said, "No, I don't want that money because that's blood money." And they were like, "What are you talking about? Money is money. You can use it to do whatever you want. It can bring you happiness." No, there's certain kinds of money that can bring you happiness, and there's certain kinds of money that can bring misery with it. And the grandmother was trying to tell the grandson, who's the drug dealer, that money is bad money because what he doesn't see is later on he falters in his drug dealing. The drug dealer that gave the grandmother 20 or $30,000 or 100,000. He falters in his duty. Maybe he's skimming on top of somebody who set him up, and now the drug dealer's cartel is after him, and they think he's over to the grandmother's house. And there's lots of kids and other people that are innocent. They got nothing to do with what he's doing, and they go looking for him. They shoot up the house and kill the grandmother, kill the other kids. But he's not there. But the grandmother took the money. She took the $100,000, and the other grandmother would say no, 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 or the other mother say no, I don't want that money, and they know. The cartels, they know. Oh, well, that person right there is not even though they're kin to him, they don't got nothing to do with that person. Spirituality is very deep. Spirit knows spirit.
Spirit does
Spirit
know
knows when
spirit.
spirit good and when spirit is evil, like itself. Spirit knows spirit, and spirit doesn't mess with good. I'm telling you, like it is. But spirit knows when something is evil and it's about its business, and it acts accordingly. So this is why I was trying to tell you the difference between spirituality and the what you had just talked about, you being rich or
Right.
broke.
Right. It's all yeah, definitely. Definitely. Uh, I
I had to
actually
take you on a people can see.
yeah, no, always that's always appreciated. because I think the stories give a lot of depth on so many different levels. You know, you have one of those penetrating voices. It's just so interesting to know that your family was natives to this land, and how some people even say that this land is partially cursed because of the United States, because the way it was taken, how it was stolen from the natives. And people say, well, what do you think about a copyright? Didn't they steal land from the natives? They call it a treaty. They call it a consent that they ceded land over.
Yes, they stole. Let me tell you, the theft of a people have been stolen. The fact that in every parts of the whole world, people have been taken off of the wealthy lands, and that wealthy land may on it. It may have gold on it. It may have uh, jewels, diamonds, or whatever. It has something valuable, water even, and people are moved off of that land. The indigenous peoples are moved off of that land so others can take that land. And like the curse is on the people who steal from the good.
Right.
The land itself is not cursed by itself. I
Okay.
told you it's the intent, it's
Okay.
the action.
Right.
Do you see what I'm talking
Definitely.
about?
Definitely.
Yeah, because if you kill a person just to get their land, then that land is cursed because those people's blood runs through that land.
Got that right.
Do you see what I'm talking about? So the thief, the killer, uh, the gift that he stole won't do him any good.
Right. Won't do him any good.
But the land itself is not cursed. The land, America, is beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
Now, many people came over here to America as indigenous slaves. And in London, uh, King George opened up his prison, Newgate, and let a lot of many thieves out, and they came to America. And they came to America. They were indigenous slave. They were indentured slaves for many years. Some of them for 14 years, 20 years, 7, 10. So they were the first slaves over here because people were free. Now the kidnapping did take place, but the kidnapping took place around the whole world. Kidnappers were there was not any segment of earth or
Non-kidnapping.
land for
Yeah.
some.
Okay.
Yeah, now this is what the confusion and the ignorance and the lies and the history book.
Right.
No one had to go 9,000 miles to the continent of Kemet or Eden, which they call after a white man, Africana.
Right.
No one had to go over there to steal anybody. Do you know how many miles? It's 8 to 9,000 miles from the continent to America, and you have to stop off at 4,000 ports for fresh water and food. So how are you going to bring a whole lot of people from one point to another point when there are indigenous people all over the whole earth? So why would you need to go 9,000 miles when you can go up north like the Journey Truth was talking about, or who brought people back from the south to the north where they came from, where they were stolen from? Do you see what I'm talking
Yeah.
about?
Oh no.
Why do
I'm
you
right
need?
here with you.
Yeah, and see, this is the where all of these lies are now the truth is burying these lies and putting them to rest. And people are starting to see the truth that this land has always been yours. Everybody is an American that was born here. So why do they need to have say that they are Italian American, German American, Russian American? Why do you need to put hyphens on there, African Americans and all that? That doesn't make any sense. Those labels were created to separate and divide, division, because subtraction and division come from the evil. It doesn't come from God. God is addition and multiplication, to add on and to multiply and
Right.
add,
Right.
not to separate and divide. All these labels that man has created, all they've been doing is confusion and separation to give people superiority complexes or inferiority complexes, but not meant to do anything good or anything to uplift or anything to create. They were just created to separate, divide, and conquer. That's it. And they
Was
don't make any sense. Why do you need to be called a label? Why is labels on applications? What do you need an application to put a label on? It doesn't make any sense. And when it doesn't make any sense, it doesn't make any dollar. If it doesn't make any dollar, it doesn't create anything.
facts. So that's why
It,
it's a fact.
it's there as a detriment. It's there as a detriment to harm.
Yeah,
And people are so confused talking. And I listen to people when they speak and when they're talking.
always.
And I said, wow, they are so programmed. They don't even know programs are coming out of their mouths.
Right.
Don't even realize that ignorance is coming out of their mouths.
Well, I
And
definitely
look at
was
the word.
trained to recognize programs. Definitely, maybe not a 0 to 7, but I definitely did learn that we have programs. And, we talk about that on the show here for sure. And it's interesting that you're bringing that up right now because it's a resounding theme in life so far, which is, correcting your habits, correcting your programs. What programs are you running, and things of that nature. What about your programs? Where did your programs come from?
I don't have any programs. That's why I created the Matrix to unlock people from the programs, to bring them out of the Matrix. You know, the Matrix is a womb, and you can be in a womb of ignorance or you can be in a womb of truth. You know
Right.
what I'm talking about?
Oh,
But the
yeah.
truth will reveal itself. And now people are like now they're talking about Andy and Larry Wachowski. I want to go back to that. They're trying to say that they created about transgender. That the Matrix was talking about transgender and all this. In my books, I'm talking about Neo being hidden as a girl on paper because everybody in the future were unisex. They wore the same clothes and stuff like that. That's me talking about like in the first coming of the Christ, they were looking to kill all these male children looking for the one. The same thing with Moses. He was a Christ child. His mother and his sister, they were looking for the male children, looking for that Christ, looking for that one. And he was hidden because the Pharaoh's Ramsey's sister needed she couldn't have a baby. She adopted Moses and brought him into the fold. But that was all because of the prophecies of God. Because Moses had a great mission to do for God. You see what I'm talking about? But they were the pharaohs were killing these male children looking for the one. So I wrote the second coming of the Christ, the evolutions of consciousness, man versus machine. The work I wrote was to take people out of bondage so people could not deceive you out of your free will. Not even God Himself will take your free will from you. So therefore, man, who's lesser than God, should not be able to do that. And all man can do is deceive you into giving up your free will. And this is what he does with programming. When you look at the media, when you look at billboards and television and radio and print magazines and every kind of medium there is, when you look at it, some of the medium is waking people up and making them come alive and making them come to truth. And then some media is putting them to sleep and deceiving them and lying to them. The greatest lie that's being told is for a man to cut off his penis. That is horrible because to cut off the penis is to cut off the seed. The penis was created to give the seed to continue life. There is no life to mutilate the body. The woman, she has a matrix. Matrix is a Latin word, 7,000-year-old Latin word that come out of the King James's Bible, mentioned 5 times in Scripture, 3 times in Exodus, two times in Numbers. Exodus 34th chapter, 19th verse. God says, he who opens the matrix or come out of the matrix womb or his children born as three-dimensional beings. This was to happen because the difference between a man and a woman is the womb, not the vagina and the penis. The matrix is the womb. It's not a penis. It is the stargate. It is the oven. It's the portal to bring the beings to this earth. And when you take a woman and take away her womb and you cut off a man's penis, which is the seed, there will be no more life on earth. The earth will die. It will be the end of the earth. No more life.
Wow. So did they do this on Mars?
There is nothing on Mars to compare to the earth.
Right. Well, what about other planets that have gone dormant like Mars?
Well, other planets have other things of life, has nothing to do with the earth.
Okay, so Sophia, we need you to drop the bomb about them not making it out of space. Because when you drop that bomb about them not making it out of space, and when we say out of space, we're truly talking about out of Earth's orbit, and we're talking about time traveling now to other planets, star systems, and galaxies. Now, do you think they could have threw a satellite out there and it's moving? Now, what would you say to that?
All I'm saying is the only way that you can get on Earth is not through that belt, the radio belt. It protects the Earth. So no one will go through that belt. Nothing coming in here or going out will ever cross that belt. Every time something hits the Earth, it is broken into thousands of pieces. You've seen the meteorites. There are holes that are 7 feet deep, 700 feet deep, different kinds of holes of whatever hit the earth. It was broken into thousands of pieces. So anything trying to cross that belt will be blown up the same way. What goes in or what goes out is going to be blown up. That's what's going to happen. So no one is coming in or going out through that. Now, a space station may be orbiting around the orbits of the Earth in
Correct.
that space around the
I could agree
space.
with that. I can agree with that.
They may have stations there. They may have many things there. But UFOs and other entities, they're coming through portals. The Earth has many portals, and that's the only way that anything can come in here is through a portal. There are all these portals and energy grids upon the Earth. These grids run longitude and latitudes around the Earth. And on these longitudes and latitudes that are called grids, these are nothing but energy fields. Some energy fields make you wealthy. Some energy fields give you cancer. Some energy fields make you sick. Some energy fields aid you. There are all different types of energy fields upon the earth. And when man is doing a survey, he's looking for these grids. If he's going to build a bank, he's looking for them. If he's going to build a
The ley line.
store or a business, he's looking for the grids. Yeah, the ley lines. Well, the ley lines are the longitude and the latitude. That's what they're called, or they're called grids,
All
ley
right.
lines. But they run crisscross vertically and horizontally across the earth. And the portals are all over or near these grids. That's what I'm talking about. So when you see UFOs coming in here, they're coming through these portals and they're looking for energy on these grids. And a lot of them go over to Peru because Peru is where the Amazons, and the Amazons, there are a lot of energy or land that no man has ever set foot on. No man has ever gone in, or if they have gone in there, they've never come back out of there to tell you what's there.
Right. It's interesting to notice some
So that's
people
the
have went
truth.
there. Yeah, that's interesting to know
Yeah,
that.
a lot of and planes and boats and everything. The Bermuda Triangle. is such a thing as a portal,
Oh yeah,
and a
definitely.
lot of boats and people and all kinds of things have been lost in these portals.
Right.
Like the Bermuda Triangle is such a grid, such a portal.
Oh, for sure.
So
There's
they don't tell you about this, but that is what's going on. That's what's going on.
right.
I
So the
just
mass
have to
media is actually
tell
protecting people from the fact that there are portals on the earth, which is quite interesting. It's like, so what they're like, well, what else would you believe, you know? And it's interesting that we're in that age of a welcome of an awakening right now, where people are having to make that decision to wake up, like you say, and just continue to dig deeper and flex their muscles, mental muscles at that. Is interesting. How
to
much
do.
time? Go ahead.
I was going to say that's nothing to do with what I believe. It's a fact that there are portals, and these portals have been talked about and shown in movies and televisions and programs and all kinds of people, books that are over 100 years old, and the Vatican has these books and information. It's been talked about for a long time. So these portals and grids exist,
Right.
grids of energy. There's so much stuff here that's never even spoken about or talked about because it would terrify the people here. They just wouldn't be able to handle the truth, and they just wouldn't be able to handle all of this information. See, information is kept hidden for a reason. Sometimes it's beneficial, sometimes it's good, because just like I was saying, there's just certain people can't handle the truth, and they just can't handle this information, and some of them would just rather not know. They would just rather go on and live the simple life and not, you know, ruffle or bother things that they don't need to be bothered with. They have enough to contend with in their lives. And I need to go back to certain things that I was talking about earlier about the that here on Earth we have spaces, and no two things can occupy the same space. So when you learn this law, because these are laws of mathematics, see, in school they did not want you to learn math because if you learned math, you would be a co-creator. You because every architect or engineer or inventor, polymathematician, they create, they invent. And in school, they wanted you to learn programming or spells or spelling, cursive, curses, words, because that comes from the witches and the warlocks. But what comes from God is the universal language is mathematics. That comes from God. Learning the numbers, you become a co-creator with God, and you start creating. And you want to create really good stuff because whatever you create, it's a reflection and it's of you, and it's also not only a reflection of you, but it's what is going to happen to you if
That's
you create
interesting.
good. Well, it's true.
Yeah.
It's true. You are and you become what you create. So if you create Frankenstein the monster, then you are part of being the monster. You are a component of the monster of Frankenstein. If you go back and look at the movie Frankenstein, 1861, Mary Shelley was talking about Frankenstein and Dr. Frankenstein. And Dr. Frankenstein created this monster, and this monster had no penis, and so therefore, he had no love. All he wanted to do was kill men, women, and children. And he asked the doctor to create a woman for him, a mate, because he was lonely. And that's what you would be because he had nothing to give. And when the doctor created a mate as Frankenstein's bride, go back and look at the movies in old black and white and color, she detested him so badly that she wanted one of God's children. She was a monster. She wanted one of God's children. She rejected him. He couldn't deal with the rejection, so he killed of his maker, Dr. Frankenstein, who made him. When you look at it, Dr. Frankenstein in 1861, he's doing organ transplants. He's transplanting organs. So, see, there were no embalming in the sense of the way bodies are embalmed now. Back then in 1861, there were just these fresh body parts. So he had the grave diggers to dig up the bodies immediately so he could get the organs and do the organ transplants. And once he had the organs transplanted in the body, he had these metal rods on Frankenstein's neck, on either side of the neck. One rod was the positive charge, and the other one was the negative charge.
Right.
And once the electrical storm happened, that's just like the felicitator. He husted the body up into the electrical storm, and the electricity captivated to the rods, the lightning rods, and animated the body, which was all body parts being transplanted, organ transplants. So that's how the body was animated. And this is ways man creates his children, and they're called lab rats. They're called lab rats with,
Petri
and
dishes.
it was all about, well, yeah, lab rats, because they are seedless and soulless. Blue, seedless and soulless. Blue, because red is for life, blue is for death. The machines had the blue and black ink or the blue and black oil that ran through them. And man's children, lab rats, are born seedless and soulless because they are test tube babies, they're artificial inseminated babies, they're petri dish babies, gender benders, gender manipulated monsters, created clones, created by man.
It's interesting because I've
But
told
see,
people that for years now, Sophia, is that we're in the age of clones. And people kind of look at you and stare at you. I think it's always a good pause to see them in their day when someone says we're living in the age of clones. For you to even say that right now, I appreciate you saying that. Please continue.
well, I showed it. I didn't just say it. I showed it in my work. The Terminator, time traveling, coming from the future because they hear the oracle's prophecy that a baby is going to be born that's going to destroy them in the future. And they know the woman who's destined to have this baby, JC, John Connors, Jesus Christ, who grows up to be Neo, one and the same in the Matrix, is Sarah Connor. Sarah Connor is going to have this baby. So what is the Terminator, end time, Revelations, the end? He time travels to the past to kill Sarah Connor so the baby will not be born. And Kyle Reese, he time traveled also to save her, and he adversely falls in love with her and gets her pregnant. So he's the father of J.C. John Connors, Jesus Christ, the Immaculate Conception, because he has to go back to the future where he came from. He cannot stay in the past. But the Terminator, he comes wrapped in flesh, killed but cannot be killed. Coming through the burning portals, he lands naked without shame. He's without shame because he's seedless and soulless. He doesn't even know that he's naked until someone tells him to go put on some clothes. But his only objective is to kill Sarah Connor. So Neo, the one, Neo is an anagram, Neone, for the one, will not be born. That's going to destroy them in the future when they enslave mankind. Because the second coming of the Christ, because people ask me, well, what inspired you with this story? How did you come up with this story? When I saw Star Wars and I saw Lucas talking about Darth Vader, the devil, Darth Vader, Satan, the Antichrist against God's laws, anti means against the Christ laws. When I saw that Lucas was talking about the point of view of how the devil fell from the light side to the dark side, Star Wars, the wars in heaven, and how Michael kicked him out of heaven, which was positive energy, and he grew black and negative, and he had to leave. And the only place he could be exiled, as above, so below, to the earth was below. And he took a tenth or a third of the angels with him, a third. And they were androgynous. They had no penises. So when they saw God's children, they were envious. The reptilians that the Vatican speaks of. He has all the pictures. And the reptilian walked on two legs. And then he began to mate with the children of God, beautiful women. And he started creating their own children that you saw in the lab. They started creating their own children when you saw Pegasus, a horse with wings, the unicorn, a horse with a horn in his head,
Right.
the giants, the fairies, the trolls, Hercules,
Yeah, we hear these
all of
stories.
these, the giants, the dinosaurs that fell between the cracks because all they did was parasites, ate upon the earth, the monsters, mankind. Let us create our own children, a kind of man or mankind or a kind of man, but not a living soul because they create. They could not create the seed, the continuations of God's children, but they could make the hybrid foods, the tangelos, the hybrid animals, the mule. When you take a horse that is big but he's weak, and you take a donkey that's little but he's strong, and you crossbreed him into a mule. But a mule is big as a horse, strong as a donkey, but he cannot create. He cannot procreate. Cannot have a baby. Can no seed. Just death, walking on a stick.
Right. Yes, people
End
literally
of life.
used it to dig ditches, you know?
Yes, but death. This is why Sodom and Gomorrah, sodomizing and Gundaria, was destroyed. Sodomizing and Gundaria, Sodom and Gomorrah, the twin cities.
We're definitely in that age right now where that's actually being banished. I know some people may think from the negative side and think that uh, we're going to lose, but we're not. We're going to win because all of that stuff has to stop. And it's pestilence. See, people don't want to call
We
it what it
won.
is.
No, listen, we've already won. Not that we're gonna win.
We
We've
already won.
already won.
Right.
The battle is over. This is just the aftermath. This is what happens when you choose good over evil. You are going to a side. Your people. If your people are about the truth, then that's who your people are on earth. And if your people are about lying, killing, and stealing, then that's who your people are. It ain't got nothing to do with no pigmentation. Who you are is DNA. It has nothing to do with the pigmentation. Got nothing to do with white or black skin, because white and black skin are nothing but pigmentations. It is not who you are. Your DNA tell you who you really are, and what side you're on tells you who you're with, and what your act or action is upon the earth. So your people, if you're dealing in truth and good and God, then that's who your people are. And if you're dealing in lying, killing, and stealing, then that's who your people are. And you need to decide which side you're going to be on, because there is nothing else going on here but good versus evil. And if you get caught up in all these labels and this other crap and all this distractions, ignorance, and lies, then you're just sacrificing and killing yourself and your body for nothing.
Right. And that's definitely a
You need,
hard way to go out.
well, if there's no need to go out that way, you came here for a purpose, whether it was an evil purpose or a good purpose. And you need to choose good and do what you came here to do. And things that are beyond you, that's the devil's business, you don't need to get involved in that. You need to turn that over to God, because God will handle all of that, because there is no devil there's no equal to God. There is no God versus the devil, because the devil is subjected to the laws of God. And I didn't come here to be no sacrifice. So
None of us did.
everybody didn't come here to sacrifice God. No, 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 no. There are some souls and animals and elements and everything that came here working in conjunction to sacrifice.
All right.
There are many who came to sacrifice their lives so others can live better and do better and elevate. Animals too, insects, flowers, trees, plants, elements, all of that come here to sacrifice and to give and to make better. But there are a lot of ones that are here that did not come to be a martyr and they did not come to be a sacrifice, but to uplift and heal and to do their jobs that they came here for. And people need to know that.
Right.
You need to know, why are you here? What am I here? And what is my purpose? And what am I supposed to be doing? But you're not supposed to be mimicking and copying others.
Well, that's why I
You will
think,
give,
it was
yes.
so important to do this. Excuse me. I wanted to really say that's why I really wanted to do this episode with you because I knew that this is the highest calling that we can have, which is being spiritually upright. Whereas, all the other things, even the money itself, does not matter if we're not being spiritually upright. And that's where I appreciate you having the backbone, as many of the mentors would say in life, because you have to have a backbone in life, ladies and gentlemen. It has to be not a wishbone, but a backbone. And I appreciate the authenticity of Sophia because, this is what we deal with on a regular basis. Sophia has always been an authentic and genuine person. And maybe there's so many fake ones out there that she recognized real. But if you're listening and you recognize that, wow, like she said, you recognize the spirit, then you already know what it is. You know what time it is for yourself. You know why you have to really buckle down and get busy and make it a point to deplug and deprogram a lot of these programs that you may have. Because when we asked Sophia, does she have programs? A lot of people would say she said no. A lot of people will say that they have programs. And this is where you can see the benefit of deprogramming and deplugging and stop listening to certain media outlets and things of that nature, even, associating with certain people, because you see now the benefit of letting go and giving up.
Yeah, well, we were meant to, like the work, God gave me this work to take people out of bondage, to free people out of bondage, not to put them in bondage with ignorance and lies and confusion, do wrong things. No, the Matrix message was created to free people, like the little dog Toto, to pull back the curtain and reveal the fraud that's going on here, where nature reveals the lies and ignorance that man is the wizard, the warlock that's creating all of this dissension and all of this evil, and that you don't have to deal and participate in any of this, that you have free will. You can choose to do good and put the evil in God's hands and let Him handle that. You can choose to do good and know that some things is beyond you that you can't do anything about, but you can do what you came to do, which is good, and to do your business and go on and do that and not worry about the ills of the world, and not that you can heal the ills of the world, because there are things that were just meant to go beyond you. It's beyond your head. It's beyond your heart. It's beyond whatever your capabilities are. But do what you can do and move on
Right.
and understand that. The Matrix message was not meant to put people in bondage. That's what I keep saying, and God will not allow it. Now, I'll tell you something. The devil has trillions and trillions of dollars, and every day he tempts somebody with those trillions of dollars. Every day, someone is selling something real, which is called their soul, for something fake. Now, the devils know upon the earth that when their dollars run out, their trillions or billions or millions or hundred thousands or whatever, they will kill themselves. They rather die than to be treated the way they have enslaved and done really bad stuff to the poor and the middle class people. They rather die than to be without their monies because there is no God for them. It's just simply purgatory for them. I know this is deep what I'm saying, and a lot of people out there, when they hear this, they're going to recognize the truth of what I'm speaking of. My name, Sophia, is wisdom. It's in the Bible. God named me. And what am I giving? And what is my job? To give wisdom. And God told you in the Bible, wisdom, which is Sophia, is greater than pearls and diamonds. He's saying that knowledge, gaining knowledge and truth, is what you should be looking for upon the earth
Right.
because it's greater than any of the trinkets. Because money and mansions and cars and jewels and all of these things upon the earth that the devil has created here and told you it's heaven, and he wants you to sell the real for the trinkets. He wants you to give up your soul, which is real, for the fake. And a lot of people do that and they don't even get to stay on earth to enjoy what they sold out for. Their mansions, their cars, their homes, their houses, their jewels, their artifacts are still standing here as a testament that they were here at one time, but no longer. And where is their souls? In purgatory, because they gave it away then. And people need to think about this, because the devil will tell you in a New York minute when I'm saying, oh, that's not real, that's not true. But hey, I'm going to tell you this. You don't have to believe me. I don't even want you to believe me. I want you to go out and dig for the truth and find out the truth for yourself. That way, no one will ever be able to lie to you, not even the devil. And God would want you to go out and search for the truth also. Because anybody telling you to follow me here and follow me there is leading you to a pit of hell and a bunch of lies.
Right.
No, the one who tells the truth will tell you to dig for the truth and find it out for yourself and not to follow them, because following anything or anybody is a trap.
That's a fact.
Truth is to be gotten through self.
Know thyself.
Yeah, know thyself. Like God says, my people perish because of a lack of knowledge, because they want a president, they want a king or a czar, a queen, or sultan, somebody to tell them what to do. Well, I chose God. I chose God to follow after Him and to listen to Him. And a lot of people will deny that He even exists. They don't want to believe that. They'll say He doesn't exist. They'll tell themselves many things so they don't have to do the right things. But that's okay because you have free will. You don't have to believe in God. You don't have to believe in Jesus. You don't have to believe in anything, the universe, water, anything, the sun, the moon. You can say it doesn't even exist, and it doesn't have to exist for you. But every knee and every tongue before you leave this earth will acknowledge that the living God exists before you leave here.
The living God.
Every knee will bow, every tongue will acknowledge. That I assure you. That you'll remember on your way out of here. And man has nothing to do with your numbers. You are numbered from birth when you come in and when you leave here by God, not by man, by God. And I told some Karens who attacked me the other day in the store, they were like talking about the mask. Put on the mask, have your mask, fix the mask. I said, it's no mask, no vaccine, there's nothing that's going to save you if it's meant for you to leave.
Facts.
If your number is up, you can walk out the door and get ran over, and it has nothing to do with a mask, COVID-19, vaccine, or anything. If it's your time to go and God says your time to go, ain't nothing gonna save you but God. That is the only one you can ask to change your number, to
It's
keep you
interesting.
here longer, or keep you here forever. Got nothing to do with no doctors, got nothing to do with no vaccine, got nothing to do with nothing else going on here. I'm trying to tell you. There are lots of people dying of other things other than COVID 19. And you need to realize that death is going on as usual. And it's not an equal opportunity employee. It's a not, he's an equal opportunity. Excuse me, he's an equal opportunity employee because he doesn't discriminate. He doesn't know what color you are. He doesn't know. Death doesn't know what color you are. Death doesn't know what race you are. Death doesn't know how old you are. Death doesn't even care. Got nothing to do with no COVID-19. Got nothing to do with anything. When death comes, it can come in any form and has nothing to do with COVID-19. So if you're afraid of dying, you need to get on your knees and start praying.
Right, man, to that one. That's always the case. Uh,
It's the
we've
it is the every soul realizes that at the moment of departure, they don't come to the realization of that. Some people dig deep and some people go seeking and looking and they get these answers that I'm talking about.
right.
But let me tell you, when I started to tell these two Karens, they immediately every time I mention God, 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 the word God this, God that, God says, God will, one of the Karens had to leave and the other one had to go back to her job. But they had to flee from the word of God. The energy of God is so powerful that they were coming with evil intent and evil energy. But the moment I mentioned God, oh my God, they began to flee. I am telling you how very powerful the word God and the word Jesus is. When evil is around, you use the word God and Jesus, you use those names, those vibrations, those energies. If you don't believe they're real, when evil comes towards you, use those words and see evil will flee. Because evil knows that if it does not flee, it will be eaten up by the good energy and vibrations. And like I was saying before, when I said no two things can occupy the same space, you want to put God in your space every day. Putting God in your space is putting good in your space. Therefore, you're attracting nothing but good and positive energy, and therefore miracles, blessings, money, things that you need on earth. Because being physical here, you need these things. And operating in the energy of good and God will the prayer, praying every day, putting him in that space. Because if you don't put God in that space, chaos will come in that space and wreck your whole life. If you think that misery is very miserable, then do not leave your space open for chaos to get in. People around the world have requested the prayer. I've been sending it in drove. I told them, do not break this prayer when you get it. You will not want to break it. You want to say it every day. You're protected. You're taken care of, and chaos can't get a foothold in.
Yeah, I remember you always giving out that prayer. You have quite a few prayers that we talked about.
Yeah, well, I have this one prayer. The one is the angel prayer that activates your angels to take care of you and bring things to you and protect you. That is the prayer that I'm talking about, the angel prayer that's requested around the world, and the water regiment, where I tell people the water takes care of the physical body because you need your physical body to operate here. You need the prayer to protect you and to give things to you, and it will take care of you as long as you do not break it. Every day you say it, you keep God in your space. That's why He says to pray. And the water regimen takes care of the physical body because it gets rid of any underlying health issues. And believe me, Americans are dying because they were a lot of third world uh, nastiness that had come into America because they were not giving vaccinations and stuff. So we got back polio that was cleared out of us, whooping cough, lots of diseases that were small, chicken pox, mumps, measles. These things were cleared way back out in the 40s and the 50s. But when these new people came into America, they brought these other things and brought back some of the same things, and America was just nasty. COVID-19, even though it killed a lot of people, but it also cleaned up America. America needed to be clean and cleansed again. It really needed to shape up and to become awareness. We're almost back like in the cave days, almost, almost like in a time glitch in the Matrix, almost like in between the future and the past,
Yeah.
almost like reverting back to the ancient old days and old ways,
Yeah,
but
very
yet
much so.
moving forward technology and the machines. The machines are still advancing and trying to enslave us, but yet the people are going back to the ancient and old. It's like a cross between two worlds. Stand and look around and observe people. Look around and observe. But like I said, the water regimen, you all you need to do is get your tea kettle and not warm room temperature water. No, tea kettle heated water, 16 ounces every morning when you get up. Drink the 16 ounces, which is two 8-ounce glasses of water. That's all, 16 ounces. Heated water, tea kettle. Drink this water. Look at the time. Wait 45 minutes before you eat. Do it every day as if you're training for the marathon. And look at your body in 1 year. Your body, your skin will be glowing. You'll take off 20 years of your age. You'll look 20 years younger. Your skin will be beautiful, glowing, and you'll lose the weight that you need to lose, and you'll gain the weight you need to gain. If you're skinny and you're malnutrition, you'll be healthy. And if you're overweight, you'll lose all that extra weight and the 15 to 20 pounds of fetuses in your intestinal tract and make you look bloated and pregnant, males and females. And your body will be so toned and tuned, and it'll blow your mind. You don't have to do anything. You can still eat whatever you want, do what you want. You don't have to exercise, run, or whatever. You just need to do this water regimen. Just listen to me and do not break this prayer or the water regimen. 16 ounces of tea kettle heated water. Drink it. That's two 8 ounces of glass of water. 16 ounce. Get you a 16-ounce mug so you can have it all in one shot. Heated tea kettle water, and look at the time after you finish drinking it. Wait 45 minutes before you eat, because this tea kettle water becomes distilled water, and distilled water scrubs and cleanses out the intestinal tract. It'll scrub out all the toxin and waste and poison, waste that's been sitting in there for 10 or 15 years. Excuse me, might have been in there for that long, but it'd be 10 or 15 pounds of feces that's been sitting there fermenting, chewing toxins, parasites. It'll scrub all that out because the doctors don't tell you that mucus, which is inflammation is nothing but mucus. Mucus is the number one killer that causes all these diseases in the body is the mucus. And that eating certain food creates nothing but mucus. And mucus is where all these viruses come into the body. So when you're drinking this heated distilled water, it's scrubbing out the intestinal tract, because if you don't clean out the intestinal tract and all this stuff that sits there and it festers and then it it creates a break into the lining, and you get leaky guts. They call it the leaky guts,
Yeah, I heard
where
about
you
that one.
start where you start smelling when you get near somebody. They start smelling, and they smell horrible. You can't even take it because all that waste is sitting in their intestinal tract, and the doctor doesn't tell you that all you need to do is clean out the intestinal tract, the large one and small one, and what cleans it out is this heated water. The heated water cleans it out, cleanses you. It scrubs it out, and it makes you healthy. And since it's cleaning it out, your skin is glowing, is beautiful. You don't have all these pimples and acne and stuff that's coming out from your intestinal tract into your bloodstream and into your skin. And you're getting healthier, and you're looking beautiful, and you're looking younger. You just have to not break this water and not break this prayer. Like I told you, the prayer is to keep you spiritually protected, and you can attract all the good and the positive that God has to give you: miracles, money, blessings, all kinds of things. And the water regimen is so you'll have a healthy, clean body, so you can continue here on earth. Because without this body, the transportation, you have to leave the earth.
Right.
The spirit, the astral, never dies, but if you don't take care of the soul, never dies. It's the seed. It continues on with the seed, your life. It continues on with others, your ancestors before you, and the ones that are coming is the seed. But you want to be here, and you want your body to be in top condition. So all you have to do is to listen to me, because people will argue, well, and they want to put lemon, and they want to put tea, and they want to put, I say, no, 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 just heated tea kettle water. That's all you need. You don't need no lemons. You don't need no tea. You don't need any other things. Well, I'm drinking this good Kangen water. I'm doing this. I drink water every day, blah, blah, blah. No, you need the heated water. That is the one that scrubs out the intestines, just like your car. The radiator is full of carbon and all kinds of stuff, and they have to put a flush in there to clean out that radiator so your car will run smooth. Well, your intestinal tract, the large and the small, has to be cleaned out with distilled heated water.
Right.
And then we're going to take you one other place, to the old black and white movies, and I hope you go see them. Dig them up and look at them. The vampire, where the vampire was a virus. That's right, the vampire was a virus. And what destroyed that virus, the vampire, he could not cross your threshold unless you invited him in. So evil, right to this day, cannot cross your threshold until you invite it in. So be careful what you invite in your house. Be careful what you invite into your family and over you. Because most of those people, you go back and look at the old vampire movie, they were fascinated with evil. They knew the vampire was evil, but they were fascinated with evil and thought it was a plaything and thought they can make fun and enjoy it. But it was a virus, a parasite. That's what a virus is, a parasite. It lives off of the organs of other things. And you look in the movie, the vampire, which is the parasite, it was killed by three things it was afraid of that killed it. It was afraid of garlic. Garlic, ginger, and onions come from the roots. And it was scared of the sun. Hot, heated water in the sun kills bacteria and viruses. And it was scared of the cross, which was God, prayer. Yeah, that's right. The virus, the vampire, the parasite was scared of three things: the garlic, the light, the sunlight, the heat, hot, and the God, the cross, prayer, God. And it casts no reflection in the mirror, because that's what a virus or a parasite does. You can't see it in the body, it's invisible, because we have these precision cells, and you can read about this, that can go in and destroy any and everything as long as it can see it. But cancer is a virus, whooping cough, colds, all of these, AIDS, STDs, those are viruses, COVID 19 viruses. Well, if the virus is coated with something, like when people would get an infection, they had cancer and they would get an infection, it would coat the cancerous cells. And once it was coated, the T cells that destroy everything in the body that's not supposed to be there would see the cancer and eat up the cancer, and then a person would go into remission. The doctors don't tell you this, what I'm telling you right now. They don't give you this information because if you go and research and you find out information, a wealth of information makes you wealthy. That information helps and heals others. So share this information because you may save some people's lives. The biopharmaceutical companies, all they're doing is giving you stuff to mask and hide the symptoms. And then they create other stuff in the body. And then you need other pills to try to get rid of that. Can you imagine something as simple as water? The essential number one thing upon the earth is water. Can you imagine that? Don't cost you nothing. Water. Can you believe that? Tea
Right.
kettle heated. The number one killer on the earth is sugar. I am not joking with you guys. The number one addiction and the number one killer is sugar. And sugar is in everything to hide the taste of how nasty everything tastes, except for the natural fruits and the natural things that come from the earth. Those natural things have natural sugar, does not harm you. I'm talking about putting sugar, high fructose in everything. The number one killer, sugar. The number one healer upon the earth is the water. The simple heated tea kettle water. Not room temperature, not good Kangen. Yeah, that's good water, pH balance. But that body needs to flush out those intestinal tracts because that's where the diseases come, and that's what breaks down the body. Is the diseases, breaks down all the organs. Cold water shuts off all the veins, gives you a heart attack. It makes fat stick to the liver. It gives you, you have to have liver transplants because of cold drinking water. Cold water drinking is one of the worst things that you can do. You think I'm joking about any of this stuff? Yeah.
That's a fact. That's a fact. Sophia, we definitely got
The
you
age,
for an hour and 40 minutes already. We definitely appreciate, you coming on. We definitely appreciate that. We just know that there's a timetable too with having your time. So I definitely appreciate, your time. And really just know that you are such a valuable resource. Is there anywhere in particular you want people to reach out to you at? Because like I said, we know it's getting past an hour, so an hour and a half. So we want to know, do you have a place you still want people to reach out, which can literally be your
yes,
book?
please go to my website. Yes, please go to my website, truthaboutmatrix.com, and buy my books and read those books and gain knowledge. Truthaboutmatrix.com, matrixterminator.com. The two movies, matrixterminator.com, www.matrixterminator.com, www.truthaboutmatrix.com, or simply Google Sophia Stewart books and my website. All the information will come up. I enjoyed it being here, and thank you very much. And you can email me, and I would love to hear from you and get my books, buy them directly from me, Sophia Stewart. Thank you very much for having me today.
Thank you so much, Sophia. Really appreciate you. You, once again, just an invaluable resource in the community. And You really mean a lot to me for sure, but just, you mean it so much to so many people, and just honored to have you as a guest today. I know everyone that's listening is really appreciated that. Then we've always had the most hits with your particular episode because we know what time we're living in, and spirituality comes first. And so we just appreciate, you addressing it today. Just thank you so much. So, thanks everybody for tuning in live or listening to replay. Appreciate you all.